Chinese were doing in terms of using robots to build automobiles.
Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? As I said, it was Christmas yesterday. What a day I had. It was a huge day. The lock, Oklahoma under with USC came in. I lost another high play with UCLA over with the free play Dallas over today. I thought UCLA Maryland would be high scoring. UCLA threw 3 interceptions and a fumble and a lot of these turnover on down crap. So it didn't go over, but I also had UCLA plus 3.5. I had it twice. I had it in 2 different teasers. First, I had played UCLA. Then after I looked at the Maryland-Nebraska game, I said, oh, this is going to be high scoring. Nope. That's the problem. You get the turnovers, and that basically kills your overs anyway. So it was a huge day. Winners, Baylor TCU over, LSU Vanderbilt under. Lost on Washington, won on Georgia Tech. Oklahoma under was the lock. Avoided Buffalo and Purdue, which was key. I had Texas State Marshall over. I had Utah under. Should have locked that one. I had Missouri Auburn under. I had Alabama Tennessee over. USC, as we know. UCLA plus 3.5 won over loss. I avoided Virginia, and Washington State played them well. I was okay. SMU beats Clemson, as I thought. Indiana against Michigan State, winner. Ohio State under, winner. A&M I had against Arkansas. UNLV Boise. Like I said, it was Christmas yesterday. The only loss I had was Washington, which it was a stupid lose because it was the big noon game, and here comes Washington. And I really didn't think about it enough to get off the game. I thought they would play them well, and it was 14-7 late in the fourth quarter. Michigan scored 124-7. My Washington quarterback threw 3 picks. I mean, it was nasty because he's a better quarterback than that. Michigan just plays defense, but they don't play good. The total on the game was 50. I did circle the under, but didn't play it. Anyway, everything came through except for a few games. The Georgia under, Washington, but everything else was just beautiful. USC Notre Dame. Every time I turned it on, Notre Dame was driving, so I couldn't watch the game. I ended up watching Utah BYU, which was a great game. And then Alabama and Tennessee. I did get the over. I know somebody liked Alabama -2, which did win, but I knew it would be scoring, and there was. So it was a very good day yesterday, very strong. I know when I'm going to have a strong day because you get the matchups you want. I'm now understanding the SEC teams. Auburn, a good under. Oklahoma, a good under. Texas played Kentucky 13-10. These teams can't score, and the defenses are pretty good. Vandy did beat LSU, put up some points. A little surprising, but okay. It shows you how good Daggio is. But we still won the game under. LSU's normally, and if you get the right matchup, LSU, South Carolina, LSU, that the only teams you really got to watch out for is obviously Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas. These are high-scoring teams. I was surprised A&M and Arkansas played such a high game, but I thought I didn't know Arkansas could score that much, but I knew A&M would win, so I did play A&M -1. But I looked at the over. Anyway, LA. So in the pros, let's go through that right now. The Rams are 21-0 at the half. I ended up playing the under in the game last night, under 51, because Puka is out. Now they have Tutu Atwell and Devontae Adams. But again, it's 6:30 in the morning for the Rams. I'm shocked they're up 21-0. Jacksonville's reverting to form. They stink. The Rams 8-0 is a road favorite, 21-4 in a teaser. And that's why I do the teaser trend. So the Rams were the play, but I went under, because it's 6:30 in the morning for them, these stupid London games and these European games. And what the fuck are they doing? So we'll see if it stays low. We got to 51. So we look good so far. It's okay that LA's got 21 if Jacksonville's got nothing. All right, let's go through the lines. Carolina 1.5, 41. This has gone down from 42. Now we'll keep it at 42. Hey, Eric. Georgia Bulldogs got the job done yesterday. Well, Georgia's showing some offense. Old Miss, I don't know what they are. You keep thinking maybe they got a defense now. Although they did score a lot on Georgia, but Georgia knows how to win these games. Had they kicked the field goal against Alabama, the game would have been tied at 24. And that's kind of, they should never have lost Alabama. I'm tired of these. It's fourth down. I don't know how many games I was watching where it was look at Notre Dame, USC. Notre Dame had a fourth down late in the game. They go for it. USC went for it. Utah, BYU, they keep going for it on fourth down. I don't understand. It was early in the game, and Utah had the ball at the 10-yard line, 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. Kicked your field goal. No, we're going to go for it. And, of course, they didn't make it. And then they end up losing by 3. And, I don't know how many times they want to go for it and not make these fourth downs because they're not easy. And you're giving up points. It's like you just fumbled the ball at the 10. What are these teams doing? And I see more and more like, oh, it's fourth down. We need to go for it. I mean, they all go for it. It's insanity. And they never make it. Very rarely. No, there was a game I was watching. I don't know if it was Notre Dame or something, where the team, it was 4th and 1 at the 10. They get it. And then they run, and kick a field goal. So what was your risk in return? You risked turning the ball over at the 10 and not scoring to then get 3 plays, and then 4th and goal at the 5, you kick the field goal. That's why you kick the field goal, because there's no reward for getting the first down, and then that's it. Okay, I got the first down. Now what? Oh, I got the ball at the 10-yard line. I'm still not going to score. David, hello. Dallas and the over. Cool. No, not Dallas and the over. Dallas over. That's the free play. Dallas over is the free play. CeeDee Lamb is back. I know McLaurin's out, but they were fine last week without him. They'll score. Dallas has no defense. And Dallas should score on Washington. Eric, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, it's just, what are they doing? It's one thing if you're down and it's the end of the game and you go for it because you need to score. Oh, I understand that. But in the first quarter, you pass up a field goal. In a BYU-Utah game where points are at a premium, the defenses are very strong. What the hell are you doing? Not getting your points. BYU, where is it? Oh, BYU was a 56, so I think they played a 51, or I don't even know if it was that high. But what are you doing? You think you're going to you need the touchdown? You need the points. and then it's a turnover. So these coaches, and you wonder why somebody get fired, because they're basically clueless. They don't understand the game. They don't understand punting's okay and play defense. They don't understand you don't go for fourth down every time. It's not easy to get. If it was so easy, why are you at fourth down? What did you do on third down? What did you do on first and second down that got you fourth and 3? And you're going to all of a sudden get the other 3 yards on 1 down. Yeah, good luck on that. Debo is out too. Yeah, I know. Good morning, Titus. Yeah, the damn Washington game killed us. Maybe you didn't play it. Everything else I gave you a hit. It was a big day, like I said. But maybe you played a bunch of teasers like you usually do. USC, UCLA, that's good. Yeah, that was a big play of mine. I loved USC getting 16 was way too many. Had Washington not played big noon and it was a 3:00 game, they'd been okay. But this big noon, man, just scratch out the West Coast team, man, making them play at 9 in the morning. And this is okay with the team? What, are you kidding me? So, yeah, UCLA came back. They had 3 interceptions and a fumble. That's why the game didn't go over. But Maryland, I knew would keep it close after I watched the Nebraska game. But I thought they'd score more. They put up 30 on Nebraska, so I was shocked that they didn't get more on UCLA. But too many turnovers. Well, the quarterback threw 3 picks for Washington. He's much better than that. But again, it was 9 a.m. I just missed that. I saw the Washington, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together. It was at 9 a.m. for them. And I guess I didn't think it would matter. And it did. Like I said, this big noon bullshit. What the fuck is that? Like, I didn't watch 5 minutes of the game. It's too hard to watch and all these commercials. All right, let's go through where we at. Philly 244 to Minnesota. KC 12.5, 45 to Oakland. New England 6.5, 41.5 to Tennessee. Miami, Cleveland 2.5, 35. There's 40-mile-an-hour winds off the lake in Cleveland today. That's why it's such a low total. Now, what is the correct total? I got a friend who says, well, it's too low. It's 35. I go, well, no, it's a 40-mile-an-hour wind. You would adjust the total, and maybe 30 is the correct total. He kind of gets stubborn into like, well, no, if it's under 40, I'm not playing it. Well, wait, you got 40-mile-an-hour winds. Nobody's scoring in this game. This game won't get 20 points. I still think it's a good under Miami and Cleveland because of the wind. New Orleans, Chicago 4.5, 44.5. Same thing here. There's rain in Chicago and a little wind, but it looks like it's going to start after the game or before it'll be finished after the game. So I don't think the weather is really going to be a problem in that game. I did like it over because Rattler's starting to score, and Chicago always scores with Fields. But Caleb Fields, it's the same thing. Anyway, so the Bears, I don't know. New Orleans indoor team. We'll see the Bears. I mean, Caleb still sucks. Rattler sucks. Indy goes to the Rams, the Chargers, San Diego 248.5. Line really hasn't moved. It's indoors. Both tackles are out for San Diego. We'll go through injuries. Is Indy that good with Daniel Jones? I don't know. Maybe. This is a 4:00 game. I might add it. The Giants go to Denver. Denver 7.5 and 40.5. Denver very strong. We'll go through the teaser trends in a minute. Green Bay at Arizona. Josh Jacobs is maybe today for Green Bay. Murray's out, so they're going again with Brissett, who I don't mind him. So Green Bay 6.5, 44. Washington, Dallas. Dallas is 1.5 point favorite, 54.5 with all the injuries to the receivers on Washington. But as long as you have Daniels, the straw that stirs the drink, you're fine. He's the key. Dallas with Dak, but they get CeeDee Lamb back. Well, you can't throw to CeeDee Lamb and Pickens. They were throwing to Pickens a lot. So now CeeDee Lamb, they should score. This should be scoring. Atlanta and the Niners. The Niners 1.5, 47. Penix against Mac Jones. I really like Penix. Detroit 6.52.5 to Tampa. Now it looks like Mbakwa and Evans are going to play, or at least they're listed as questionable. They're not out. The Lions have both corners out and the safeties on suspension. It was a good matchup for Tampa. Tampa, as I said, is 15-0 as a road dog. This is a good Tampa play. I don't know about the over. Detroit hasn't been going over. I think their offensive coordinator is terrible. You know, everybody, they had a big game against Green Bay, and then, it was great. And then, okay, I think they beat Baltimore, struggle against Green Bay, struggle against KC, and they're going to struggle here. Tampa's a very good dog and a very good on defense. And our last game is Seattle 341 to Houston. Houston, a very good under team. The best defense. They got a 12 defense. This is like a Georgia team. Seattle with the 20. Seattle's playing good defense also. So I don't know. I don't trust Darnold in this situation. I certainly don't trust CJ Stroud. So that's the plays, the teaser plays. Play against the Jets, 21-2, which maybe we can use it because they got Fields now and they got a new coach. So be careful there. Philly is off of 2 losses in a row. Many with the 19 defense should be a little sticky for Hurts, who's not very good anyway. Then it's up to Barkley to run, which is going to have a hard time against this. But then you get Carson Wentz, who's not too good. Oakland, KC 17-3 is a home favorite. We can use that. Although this line's high, this is where they tend not to cover. They cover the 6s, 7s, and 8s when it's under a field goal. But at 12, they lose a little interest here. Although this is a big rivalry. Play against Tennessee's 20-3, but that's with a different coach and a different quarterback. That's with last year's team. Although this year they're not doing much better. Miami play against as a road dog, 14-1. They are a road dog here. Plenty of wind and rain. Look for low score. Indy 6-1 is a road dog and play against is 7-0. But again, this is not with Daniel Jones, so we have to be leery of that. Denver 8-0 is a home favorite and 22-2 in a teaser. And yes, we can use that because that's all Bo Nix. Play against Green Bay as a road favorite, 8-1. Arizona 10-2 is a home dog and 10-2 against is a home dog. So they play close games at home as a dog. Washington 23-3 in a teaser. And yes, we can use that. That's all with Daniels. Tampa Bay 22-2, and we can use that. 15-0 is a road dog. We can use that. That's with Coach and Baker. So that's usable. Houston 11-2 is a road dog, 21-3 overall. And yes, we can use that. So your biggest play is going to be Houston, Tampa, Denver, play against Tennessee, play against the JETSs, and take the Rams, who are 21-4, but that game's already started. I mentioned all that the last few days, so it's nothing new. Let's look at injuries. So if you go on Yahoo and then news, it does this injury tracker, NFL injury tracker, which is pretty up to the date. This is 6 minutes ago. Jacoby Brissett will reportedly start. McLaurin and Deebo Samuel out for week 7. That's nothing new. So Kyler Murray's listed as questionable, but Brissett's starting anyway. We know that. CeeDee Lamb will be active today, and Washington will be missing. He had a high ankle sprain. Washington missing their receivers, but it's the NFL. They have other receivers. Look at Tampa. They got this star I never heard of. I don't even know where he went to college. So they don't necessarily miss the receivers as much as you think they do. Or they can throw tight ends and running backs in who can catch the ball just fine. All right. Puka has been ruled out. Well, we already know that. He should be. I think they got the bye next week, and then he'll be back. So it's just a temporary. Chuba Hubbard's back for Carolina with Dowdell, who's been running. Tampa Bay have listed both Evans and Mbakwa as questionable for Monday night's game, so the extra day will help them. Both have been dealing with hamstring injuries. Oh, you mean because they don't play preseason, all these guys get hamstring injuries? Geez, I didn't know that. Head coach Bowles said Mbagwa will be a game-time decision. Chris Godwin and Bucky Irvin. Well, Godwin's broke his ankle. He ain't playing. Minnesota J.J. McCarthy's questionable. He ain't playing. We prefer it. He sucks. He will not start, but head coach said that serve as the emergency number 3 quarterback because he sucks. Josh Jacobs was listed as questionable due to an illness and a calf injury for Green Bay. That's going to hurt them. He'll be a game time decision. It means even if he plays, he's not healthy. George, after suffering a full tear, is doubtful. Cam Jones, a linebacker, doubtful. A cornerback I never heard of is doubtful. The Eagles, the backup tight end is out. Jalen Carter has heel problems, is questionable. The Vikings, Van Ginkel is out. That's a big loss. Otherwise, they're questionable. If they're questionable, they're playing. Oakland, Brock Bowers is doubtful. Jacoby Myers is questionable. Kansas City, because they're afraid to get hurt, Titus. So they'd rather get hurt week 2 with hamstring injuries than get hurt than get playing time in the preseason to prevent the getting hurt. Look at Kittle tears his hamstring in week 1 because he doesn't play in the preseason. It's all such bullshit. We're scared to get the guys hurt. I'm not saying you play the whole game with them, but you play the first quarter. These guys are not in shape. They haven't played in a year. You get them out there and let them run around and gain speed and gain contact. Let them play a couple series in the first game and a couple more in the second and the first half and the third. Oh, no, they might get hurt. Well, fuck that. That's just like baseball. Well, we got to pull the guy because he might get hurt if he throws more than 90 pitches. I was watching the Seattle-Toronto game, and Seattle pulled their starter in the 5th inning, and there was no reason. There's nobody on, and he's striking everybody out, and they pull him. These managers have their heads so far up there. It's like fourth down. It's ridiculous. Let me see. Washington sucked. Yeah. Rams are destroying the Jaguar. Yeah, it's 21. Yeah, I know that. So again, it's an injury thing. They're so worried about the injury that they're failing to see the big. It's like going forward on fourth down. They're failing to see if they don't get it, it's a big problem. Utah lost because they didn't kick a field goal in the first quarter at the 10-yard line on 4th and 1. They went for it and didn't make it. Oh, and they lost by 3. You get your points in big games. Anyway, KC, they're fine. New England, everybody's questionable. They're fine. Tennessee, Calvin Ridley out. Bryce Oliver, another wide receiver I never heard of, out. A guard out. A linebacker out. Not that Tennessee has any players anyway. Miami, they're healthy. Cleveland, David Njoku, the tight end's out. That's about it. New Orleans, they're healthy. The Bears, the kicker's out and a linebacker's out. But all their cornerbacks who are real good are back. Indy, a lot of outs. 2 wide receivers, Downs and Dolan, never heard of. Cornerback and a running back, Tyler Goodson, I never heard of. So basically nothing for Indy. San Diego, both tackles are out. Pipkins and Joe Alt. Great draft pick, not taking Brock Bowers, and this Joe Alt's been out all of last year and half of this year. A safety's out I never heard of. The Giants, some linebackers out. Another linebacker's out. The center's out. A defensive lineman's out. Darius Slayton, the receiver's out. So there's 5 outs for the Giants, and Abdul Carter, the Penn State guy, has got a hamstring. Denver, just the linebackers out. They're real healthy. Green Bay, Vanessa is out. Christian Watson, wide receiver, out. Devontae Wyatt is out. And this Josh Jacobs seems to be probably out. Arizona, some running back I never heard of, and D tackle are out. Washington, McLaurin, and Deebo Samuels are out. Deebo Samuels got a heel. And that's it. It's okay. They got other receivers. Dallas, Trevon Diggs is out with a concussion. A guard is out. So that makes the over even better when their best corner is out, but the receiver's back. So that's the overs and unders are based on the injuries. If you go over and you lose defensive players, that's good. If you lose, your quarterback, that's not good, like Texas Tech, Arizona State. Give Texas Tech credit. They came back, took the lead real late in the game against Arizona State, and then the refs bailed them out with the bullshit pass interference call, and they ended up winning it at the end. But Arizona State's a good team, good defense. Don't fuck with Arizona State as long as Levitt's playing. Atlanta, wide receiver Ray McLeod's out. Jalen Walker, I think he's Georgia, out. 2 cornerbacks are out, and the safety's out. So I was going to go under in that game, but I don't think so. Couple other questionables. The Niners, Ricky Purcell's out. Fred Warner, their linebacker's out. Brock Purdy is out. Again, it's hard to bet the Niners. I think you bet Atlanta. I don't know. It's a high number, 47.5. A lot of injuries. Purcell's not too good. Brock Purdy, they got Mac Jones. That's fine. Fred Warner, they've lost a lot of defense. Tampa Bay, Bucking Irving is out, the running back. Godwin's been out the whole year. A guard's out, and another running back, Josh Williams, I've never heard of, is out. Mike Evans is questionable. Mbakwa is questionable. And Levante David is questionable. So those guys will play. It's a big game. So I'm fine with that. Detroit, cornerback out, safety out, cornerback out. That's key. 3 guys of your secondary are out. Houston, Christian Kirk is out, and a cornerback, is out. I never heard of. Seattle linebackers out, and that's it. You have George Kittle back. Okay. Josh Jacobs' status up in the air for week 7, 17 minutes ago. Chiefs Rashid Rice will make his debut. Wonderful. Patriots Stephon Diggs, questionable, but expected to play versus Titans. Again, it's the Titans are so bad, and you bring in a new coach. What's he going to do? Commanders Zach Ertz, questionable, but expected to play. Well, that's a key good for our over. Jalen Carter expected to return. He's got a heel injury. He's the best defensive player, so it's important if he plays. Carson Wentz to make 4 consecutive starts. Thank you. There's no way you can bet Minnesota with Carson Wentz. He's so bad. Raiders Brock Bauer, not expected to play versus Chiefs. That's a big loss. You got Gentry, but the problem is you got Geno Smith. Now, as I tell you, Raider people, you either take Devin Dampier from Utah, you take Sam Levitt, Arizona State, you take my guy from Baylor. I can't think of his name right now. God, I always know his name. Anyway, the Baylor guy, Daggio. I'm not sure about Haynes Kings, but he sure wins a lot, doesn't he? Georgia Tech just ripped Duke apart, easily winning by like 15 points. And then you have the quarterback of, North Texas, the Virginia quarterback. You go on and on down the list of all these good quarterbacks who are much better than Geno Smith. So Brock's probably out. And that's a big loss for them. So, yes, will it affect Washington? Sure, but the key's Daniels. All right, that's about it. So, those are your injuries. I got 21-0 LA, 9 minutes left in the third quarter. 8 minutes left in the third quarter. So we're under 51 here, and we're at 21. And the Rams will just start running the ball, running the clock, because this is the NFL. They're not looking to score. Jacksonville's just passing every down, and we know Trevor Lawrence sucks. So this game should stay under. Titus, Texas Tech loss. Was that a big upset? No, because their quarterback was out. Morton was hurt. It was a game time decision. So without their quarterback, it wasn't a big ups. I mean, you kind of knew they were in trouble. So I don't call it a big upset. Arizona State's quarterback did play. Arizona State's a good team. They did beat Baylor and TCU, Arizona State. They lost to Old Mississippi State. So with the guys out, it wasn't, the quarterback not playing, how big of an upset is it? Right. So no, but Texas Tech's got a great team. They got a great running back, and they got a great defense. They got some defensive linemen who are just quick as a cat. This guy's 340, and he's going around the center, and he's just killing everybody. I mean, they've got a very good team. This was, unfortunately, Morton. So if Morton plays, Texas Tech just kills everybody. But Arizona State's a very good team. So, no, it's not a real big upset. I didn't give you Texas Tech, if you noticed. Again, we're waiting on the quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks were questionable. All right, so your free play, Dallas, Washington over. Again, we have the Ram under 51. And a lot of other nice plays. We were locking Washington, Dallas with UCLA over, which didn't get there. All right, let's look at next week's college ball. Let's see what big plays we want to make. Week 9. We'll look more at the big games, not the Kennesaw State, Florida International. Hey, these Tuesday night games. I just stand two on, again, Conference USA Tuesday, Conference USA Wednesday, Delaware, Missouri State. Oh, God. Thursday, Friday, North Texas, will kill Charlotte. Boise and Nevada. That's it. There's no Big Ten game on Friday. I thought it was always on Friday. So not much. You got Boise, Nevada, Cal, Virginia Tech, Cal going to the East Coast. So nothing much. So let's start Saturday. We got Ole Miss and Oklahoma. Very interesting game. Ole Miss was able to score on Georgia. I don't think they're going to score in Oklahoma. We got to see what the numbers are. Kansas State, Kansas, good game. Virginia goes to North Carolina. Syracuse and my Georgia Tech. UCLA goes to Indiana. They're going to have problems there. I'm not taking UCLA unless I get a whole lot of points. South Florida, Memphis, that should be a good game. Auburn goes to Arkansas. Strong defense goes against strong offense. We like Auburn, LSU, where both teams are under teams. Texas goes to Old Mississippi State. That'll be a strong under. Missouri and Vanderbilt. This is a very even game here. Illinois goes to Washington. Now, Washington's at home. Wisconsin goes to Oregon. Oregon will kill them. Oregon killed Rutgers yesterday. I was surprised. Moore played pretty well, not like he did against Indiana. Northwestern goes to Nebraska. They seem better. Let's see. Alabama goes to South Carolina. If we can get it under a touchdown, I'll take Alabama. See, after the loss, they're just pounding. Played pretty good against Tennessee. BYU goes to Iowa State. BYU off of a big loss. They will be flat after playing Utah and winning. It's a very emotional game. BYU plays in blue. Utah plays in red, which I like that. But now they got to go to Iowa State, who's always good, well coached, coming off of a bye. BYU will probably be favored here, so look out for Rocco Beck in Iowa State. Baylor gets Cincinnati. Interesting game there. You know how much I like Baylor. Let's see what the total is on that game. That should be a good over. Oak State, Texas Tech. Oak State's the Z team. If Texas Tech gets their quarterback back, they will win by 65 points because Oak State's just terrible. TCU, West Virginia. Look for TCU to blow out West Virginia. Stanford goes to Miami. All Miami here off of the loss. Stanford's got to go. Somehow Stanford beat Florida State. Florida State, I figured out their problem. Their quarterback sucks. So they've gone from Uglia Buglia to this Castellanos from Boston College who ran to beat Alabama. But since then, he's not a good quarterback. He can't throw the ball, throws a lot of picks. That's why Florida State's having the problem they're having. Let's see. A&M goes to LSU. Bobby, you going to that game? I bet Bobby's going to go to that game. That's a very good game. A&M, I love the quarterback. LSU, Good defense, although Dagia lit them up pretty good. The Michigan State game. Michigan State stinks this year, but Michigan's not much better. Tennessee goes to Kentucky. Well, it's a short schedule. Houston against, well, no, it's not a short schedule. It's, you got all these Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday games. So by the time you get to Saturday, you've lightened up about 10 games. Houston, Arizona State. Look for Arizona State there. Colorado goes to Utah off of the loss. Forget about it, Prime. You're in big trouble there. That's the 10:30 game. But it's at Utah. So some interesting games. Again, it depends on the lines. I'm going to copy these down and make my own lines. Alabama 14 over South Carolina. Let's see what the real line is. My Southern Miss playing good. They won yesterday. Temple blew out whoever they were playing. Buffalo had trouble with UMass. They only won by a touchdown. How is that possible? I didn't bet the game, but how is that possible? That's why I kind of fade some of them. I didn't like Buffalo laying 17. They're not that explosive. So you kind of find better ones. I laid away from Virginia, which was tough. But after Washington State playing Ole Miss, so that screwed me up. They played Ole Miss 24-21. So I go, oh, Ole Miss isn't going to score on Georgia. But they did. So then you're wondering, where was this against Washington State? Wisconsin goes to Oregon. It's going to get ugly. Illinois, Washington. Missouri, Vanderbilt's probably the game. Texas, Old Mississippi State. So there's some good games next week. UCLA goes to Indiana. Indiana's just too strong. They just run it down your throat, and they play good defense, and they're well coached. UCLA, too many turnovers yesterday. Anyway, Ole Miss at Oklahoma. It's being a very good game there. And that's it. I'm not touching Delaware and Middle Tennessee on Wednesday, or Kennesaw State, Florida International on Tuesday. I mean, look at these games. What do they want us to bet these games because they're on Tuesday? Western Kentucky, Lou Tech, Missouri State, New Mexico. What, are you kidding me? So that's next week's games. So that is your football for today. Gold and silver, we're watching some interesting well, we watched Warren Buffet and his fairy tale. I don't think it was a new one. I think it was last year because he talks about the election. But there's no way gold's going to collapse. There's too much demand. Then I was watching Mark McGuire, and he's talking about how everything will be fine. That all the demand and everything's going up. So we can watch the last couple minutes of Mark McGuire. Let's first do an Egon one.
Every single currency, as we know, in history has gone to zero. So we have these monetary cycles, and they last for 100 years, 200 years, depending on the time, but they always end, and they always end in the same way, with the money becoming worthless. And of course, the other side of that is money becomes worthless, and we measure the gold price in worthless money. The gold price obviously becomes a very, very high price. So you really should look at purchasing terms rather than the price of gold measured in fiat money. I already back in the late 80s, early 90s, I came to the conclusion that we are now coming to the end of another monetary era, and that's why we studied carefully what and when that was likely to happen, and then we went to the gold market in 2002 at $300.
I check my balance once a week, and it's gone up. That's USDG.
I don't think they get it. There's no cycle. They print the money to zero. I mean, it's a cycle. You come in with gold like the US did, and then you get off the gold standard. And when you get off the gold standard, you then go to printing money, and you keep printing it, and then you keep spending it. The more you spend, the less it's worth, but you keep printing it because you need the money to pay for bills. And that's what happens. So it's not a cycle. It's, if you have gold, which a lot of these don't, they're always going to run to zero because they're always going to spend too much, right? Retirement, we have Social Security, other countries just have retirements, government spending because the governments get too big. The politicians hand out things, so they need to print money to give you this, welfare and food and all this other stuff. And so therefore, it's not a cycle. I don't know why they think it's a cycle. You're printing money to zero, basically, is what you're doing. Simple as that. So I don't really understand why they think it's a cycle. But as far as gold being valued in dollars, what he's saying is, well, the dollar's collapsing, so the gold price is going to go way up, but then you're going to use the gold to buy things, is what they're kind of missing. Gold becomes valued in gold, not money. So gold, right now, it's 4,300 of this. Pretty soon, it goes away to, it goes up to 5,000 and 6,000, but then this goes to zero. Well, the gold price doesn't go to zero. The gold price then will go up because it's what the gold will buy. So gold then becomes the money. So people think if the dollar collapses, gold collapses. No, 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 no. If the dollar collapses, the gold price is used as the money. And then gold will buy you things, and that's what you're going to use. So what they should do is come out with this backed by gold, and then you go to the grocery store with your gold-backed dollar or your silver-backed dollar, and you buy groceries that are priced in gold and silver, mostly silver. I mean, right now it's $53 for my ounce of silver. I go to the grocery store, I'm filling my cart up, because also the prices come down priced in silver versus priced in monopoly money. So it's $20 for a steak in this, but in gold or silver, it's probably $3 or $4 for a steak. Everything gets converted, but gold and silver do not lose value. If the dollar collapses, the gold and silver price is up, and then you use gold and silver as the money. And this is what people do not understand. That is why you buy the shit out of gold and silver, because it's going to go up, but the dollar's collapsing. So you can't hold dollars. That's really the key to it. If you hold dollars, you're holding monopoly money. So that's basically where you're at, right? You can't hold the dollar because it's worthless, but it's not a cycle. So in football, you had the Steelers in the 70s. That wasn't a cycle. Basically, you had all these great players, and then they started to retire. Joe Green, Mike Wagner, Bradshaw gets hurt. Some of the defense starts getting hurt. Jack Ham, and then you can't replace them with Hall of Famers. So now the level of your play becomes bad. They switch the rules, a little more passing, and and then Greenwood retires and Jack Lambert retires and Franco retires. And then before you know it, all your superstars have retired. Well, that's not a cycle. That's normal. That's the play. You can't replace the players. And then you get Montana. That's not a cycle. He played and then he gets hurt. And you have Ronnie Lott, and you got Roger Craig, and you replaced him with Jerry Rice, and you had great defense. But then they start retiring or going to other teams. Ronnie Lott went to Oakland. And so you have to realize this as the players start, as Joe Montana goes to KC, Oakland's not good anymore. And then you have New England, and there's Brady, and he's good for a long time. And then he goes to Tampa. It's the end of New England. Then he retires from Tampa. It's the end of Tampa. And it's just, who's the hot team? Kansas City, because they got Mahomes and Kelsey. And they got a good defense. And Spagnuolo, good defensive coach. Is it a cycle? No. It's good until Mahomes retires. Kelsey, they have to replace. They do a good job doing that. The defense, they do a pretty good job with that. If Oakland picks up Daggio as their quarterback, they'll be really good until Daggio retires, or until, because you have Brock Bowers and Gentry and Daggio, you pick up some defense. Now you got this great team. But as soon as some of the pieces start going or getting hurt, it's not a great team anymore. In finance, it's the same thing. You've got money that's good until you print it to death, because you're not using gold. If you just stay on the gold standard, we're on the gold standard from 1776 to 1914. We were great. We were the best country. The world was great because it was on the gold standard from 1820 to 1914. But as soon as we got off the gold standard, the world fell apart, because now you've went on to monopoly money that as you print it, it's worthless. We kind of went back on the gold standard after World War II, 1945. But then after 1971, we've fallen apart where the money's worthless. And that's what happened. So now you have worthless money. Is it a cycle? No, it's inflation, because you're inflating the money supply. You're killing the value of the money. So in effect, it's like an injury or a retirement where you've retired gold and now you're bringing in this crap that's not worth anything. So, I don't know. Ray Dalio calls it a cycle. It's not a cycle. You have gold, you stop using it, and next thing you know, your country's out. Spain, France, England, Roman Empire, the Germans. This is the problem. When you get off of gold and get on to printing your money, that's what kills you. And for some reason, they can't figure that out, which makes zero sense. So I don't really know why they can't figure it out, or they just don't want to. And it's a lot of crooks who are in charge, and the crooks sit there and run everything. Just a second. I didn't put my picture up. Somebody trying to scam me. You owe $600. Bullshit, I do. So it's just simply this never works. you can't have the dollar. You can't just keep printing it. And yet they I don't know if they try it and say, well, it won't happen to us, or they know it's going to happen, but they do it anyway. It's just amazing how stupid these people are. But it's not a cycle, right? And in no way is it a cycle. It's just as soon as you start inflating the money supply and printing it, I don't know where they get these terms debasement. Everybody's using debasement because they don't want to say inflation is not prices. Inflation is not prices going up. It's inflating the money supply. But instead of calling it that, they'll call it debasement, which is taking the gold and silver out of the coins. Well, you can't take gold and silver out of this because there isn't any gold and silver in it. So they just create their own words and their own thing. These are the Keynesians, and you just scratch your head. They're not real. And that's what you have. So there's no cycles. It doesn't end. It's the money printing. And as you have more debt, which we do, and the bonds are just simply to get me in. Warren Buffett's an idiot. He thinks that he's trying to get people into bonds. So it almost is like the government did this Warren Buffett thing to say, get out of your gold and buy bonds. Why would you get into treasuries? They're never going to pay you back. They have a $37 trillion debt. How are they going to pay it back? So that's not going to happen. So keep that in mind. That's why you stay in gold and silver. In gold and silver, you're fine. You can't lose in it. It can't lose its value. If the dollar goes out, gold and silver do not go out. They then become the money. So somebody asked me, well, when your gold goes up, you're going to sell it. You're going to get back into fiat money. And I said, no, you don't understand. Gold and silver become the money. And that's what BRICS is doing, right? Everything's gold and silver. China, Russia, Brazil, India, they're all stockpiling gold because that's going to be the new money. There doesn't need to be a reserve currency or number one. It doesn't matter. That's because it was only the U.S. Now BRICS is trading amongst each other. There doesn't need to be a reserve currency. That's just phony bullshit. Anyway, so trying to clear that up. You have no doubt. You have no risk in gold. But it's got to be physical. You do not buy ETFs. If you do, you're fucked. You'll never get your gold out of it. As the dollar collapses, the ETF will collapse and it'll be worth zero. So we do not buy anything but physical gold and silver. And I've shown you what to buy. The US dollar, the Eagles, you're buying the Maple Leafs, you're buying the Cougarans, you're buying the Philharmonics. That's what you're buying, gold and silver. And again, you don't want this fancy stuff. You don't want an MS-70 gold or silver. You just want regular gold and silver. Make sure it's not scratched or dirty. You want nice, shiny things that look good. But you're not interested in collectibles. You won't get paid for it, and you don't need it. You're going to make money as we're making on the gold, going up to 4,300 now. Why do I need a MS-70 gold coin or anything? I did buy a 2/10 of an ounce MS-70s, but the guy gave it to me at the same price. So I was buying like $300, 1/10 of an ounce, and he gave me the MS-70s just for the hell of it. Now, it is worth a little bit more, but he gave it to me at the same price. All right, let's look at a little bit of Mark McGuire.
I check my balance once a week, and it's gone up. That's USDG on Kraken. You earn up to 4.
Yeah, we don't really
London
care.
has lost control of the global silver market.
They now have to keep printing or we crash.
We've got this ticking time bomb.
Talking gold with the one and only Andrew McGuire. Now, with Robinhood Gold, you can instantly start earning 3.75% APY with high yield cash. Sign up for Robinhood Gold.
My daughter gave me these boots for Father's Day. Didn't expect much, but Velcro and a zipper, on in seconds.
where essentially that's where the market was. Now the price-checking physical liquidity has been captured by the Western-facing SGEI, physical exchanges, influencing every other silver and gold foreign exchange cross. And as we previously ascertained, the quarterly OCC reports, the Office of the Comptroller reports, lists the historically accrued, unallocated, unbacked foreign exchange silver derivative bets being stick-handled for the Fed by the two remaining Fed agent banks, JP Morgan and Citi. Now, do you remember we showed the third quarter unwind of the 5-year derivative bets? That was an important point to note. But actually, out of the 4 LPMCL members, that's ICBC, Standard Bank, JP Morgan, UBS, and obviously, so basically, it's only JP Morgan that provides the only LPMCL cartel member that provides the conduit into the OCC derivative bets. So, you know, ICBC, Standard Banks, UBS, and JP Morgan. Now, notably, and by absolutely no coincidence, last week's rushed together proposed OCC rule, there was a rule change. It slipped under the radar. I haven't seen anyone else looking at this. And what it was doing, it was attempting, this was in a legal announcement, which seemed to be missed by all the mainstream media. It was attempting to rein in bank supervision of exactly these kind of derivative risks. I just made a copy of it. Quote, federal banking regulators unveiled a pair of proposed curbs on their supervision programs that would formally ban the use of reputation risk. Yeah. What about people that have been fined close to $1 billion for manipulating silver? Forget reputation risk. As an exam factor, so they could remove that, and constrain what examiners can call out for criticism as, quote, unsafe or unsound practices. Going to curb it. Why? There's a panic on. The rule would also encompass unallocated FX gold and silver captured in these quarterly OCC reports. However, given there is simply not enough bullion to meet upcoming delivery demands at current prices, it telegraphs a very, very large move higher. As I say, liquidity providers are assessing $140 an ounce for silver just to meet that demand. Forget anything else. And this is why there's been very few offers to lend silver into higher lease rates. Now, while remaining COMEX speculators have largely been cash settled and they're progressively, we looked at in the charts, progressively they've been rinsed out. Very large predatory central bank sovereign buyers will force backdoor COMEX loadouts, meaning they'll stand there for delivery, forcing LPMCL actors in related COMEX to buy back these asymmetrically imbalanced bets at substantially higher market prices, further tightening global supply, driving the global price, as I say, much, much higher. So in summary, with every single pulling bank long silver for their own books, every single FX currency, bar the dollar, higher, these unbacked FX silver liabilities undoubtedly sit on the Fed's books. There's just no doubt. And hence the defense of these very large, asymmetrically imbalanced, naked short COMEX hedges that have been left exposed by physical silver and gold being benchmarked against a real global supply-demand price outside the control of the LBMA CME cartel's ring fence. It is this physical market liquidity that is forcing a real supply-demand settlement price to emerge, and it's only just starting to emerge. These official silver futures shortstops have sat at the prior silver all-time 2011 highs. We looked at that. And we've seen multiple attempts to defend these short bets with very little speculator open interest able to be rinsed out, which is currently being attempted every day.
But these commercials, Jesus.
Being attempted every day. This will ultimately result in predatory backdoor loadout demands at expiry, as it has every time, but never in this kind of size before. And never with such shortages in the local London cartel.
So it's saying that COMEX is basically broke. There's too much demand on the options. It's like Madoff. If people are asking for the gold and silver on COMEX, they don't have it. So they have to get it, which they can't because it's too limited, and China and Russia have most of it. So COMEX is gone, and basically China and Russia are setting the price. And that's why you see it keep going up and up and up, because it isn't a COMEX. They can't price fix it anymore. So when you ask, is Warren Buffett, you're going to see this crash? Well, the only way it can crash is if the options go down, but China and Russia aren't going to let the price go down. They need the price up. There's too much demand to cover these options. So if there's demand, how can the price go down? The price only goes down when there's no demand. So if you go to the grocery store and you see oranges and nobody wants them, they'll mark it down for 50 cents. That's why you see these sales. Nobody wants it. Coca-Cola, $3.50 for a 2-liter. Oh, but 2 for $5. Buy one, get one free, because there's no demand for it. But you're not seeing that in gold and silver. You're seeing plenty of demand for it. So keep that in mind. That's why we are not worried about the price going down. We laugh at Warren Buffett, who obviously is a fucking idiot. Somebody asked me the question as I was going off yesterday about, as I was leaving, and they asked me, how can he be a billionaire? Well, he's a billionaire because he's a Madoff. He stole everybody's money from his insurance company. See, the insurance companies are just Ponzi schemes. And notice how if you get into a car accident, you don't want to use it because your rates will go up. Life insurance, they probably don't pay. And the home insurance, I'm sure they don't pay that either. Look at unemployment. They don't want to pay. So insurance is just a scam. It's a total Ponzi scheme. You pay into it and you never get out what you pay in. So that's how he became a billionaire, not with his investing. So what he did was he took his money and he bought 1 million shares of Coca-Cola or 1 million shares of Disney. That's not investing. An idiot could do that, but who wants to do that? Who has all this money to put into Coke? I'd put in 50 shares into Coke or something. But that was 30 years ago. Now I just buy gold and get out. And now I don't even play stocks because it's all fixed. You saw that with Michael Douglas. Blue Star says to buy this and that. And that's what's in play is based. It's all bullshit. So I don't play bullshit. You know, it's hard enough with football. We know it's fixed, but we can still win at it because it's fixed, but not in a teaser. So the teaser unfixes it. Titus, looking forward to next week, Oklahoma game. Should be a good game with Ole Miss. Oklahoma with a real strong defense, not much offense. Ole Miss is going to have trouble moving the ball, I feel. Running quarterback. Should be a good game. We'll see what the line is. My guess will be it's at Oklahoma. Oklahoma maybe 3-47 or something. Should be a pretty good number. All right. So what Mark's saying is that this is all like there is no gold there, so it's blowing up, and it's all China and Russia who are controlling COMEX. That's basically what he's trying to say.
So with China targeting this very attractive underpriced supply, as is India, as is anyone else, very likely we'll see strict US export controls exercised. And perhaps Trump's sudden 100% tariff sanction package, which he announced last Friday, has something to do with this crisis, especially with silver export controls being reported out of China. It's not a coincidence that Trump's sanctions directly followed China announcing fresh export controls on rare earths and super hard materials. And while not specifying silver, we're already evidencing Russian and Chinese military complex, securing as much silver as possible, taking it off the market. Our well-connected liquidity providers assess this is likely why China is not allowing the exporting of silver to profit by closing the futures markets gap. Obviously, anything that's happening in the free trade zone in the Western-facing silver market has had the same actors, LGMCL actors, the ability to actually take some of this and relieve some of the pressure. But it's not coming from the mainland. And while we continue to expect some short-term volatility and more defensive selling, I mean, literally by pulling the bids and trying to cap, it's like pushing on a string. It has short-term volatility effects, and they're attempting to fight paper into a tight supply. And they're trying to do it in both gold and silver. It's going to evidence incoming buyers into constructive speculator rinses as the strong hands takes what comes on offer.
All right, Andrew. Now that really nicely covers all the silver questions that we received. And the next part, I guess, is going to be, are there any fourth quarter gold updates?
While these robotic developments are impressive, what Elon will unveil next.
This is going to be, are there any fourth quarter gold updates?
Yeah, absolutely, Shane. That's another thing. Obviously, I mean, silver. While silver is really in the crosshairs. I mean, it's only because of these differences of this absolute evidence of a broken COMEX market that gold has been less in the crosshairs for. Although I must say, all the Bloomberg for the first time talks about it obsessively, and everyone they bring on, interestingly, they ask the question: "Oh, is it overbought? Is it overbought?" Everyone seems to have that question. Well, it's interesting because almost everyone is coming out and saying, "Well, hey, we didn't have any exposure." So as far as gold's concerned, really, following very similar speculator margin downside rinses we've seen, every subsequent spot gold fix has uncovered very strong, and each one of those fixes have been higher, have uncovered very strong central bank sovereign demand, which is now having to compete with freshly woken institutional ETF demand.
So again, demand for gold is higher, price goes higher. And that's why would the price drop? Why would you get out of this into treasuries? Warren Buffett has got to be senile, but people realize it's the only place to be. It's the only lifeboat, which is my word, because you're on the Titanic. I'm thinking that you have to get off the Titanic and you get onto a safe thing, the lifeboat. There's nothing safer than gold and silver. And all the demand is in gold and silver, and the price is going to keep going up and up and up. Nobody in the right mind. Why would you get into treasuries? They owe 37 trillion. They owe another 100 trillion to everybody else. Social Security and the defense contractors and all the government employees who are not working. The government is still shut down. Thank God for that. So there's no other play. You are not dumping gold for treasuries. That's got to be the stupidest thing you could say. The dollar isn't worth anything. The inflation is huge. Why would you go into treasuries? So just ignore that. The demand is extremely high for gold. The price is just going to keep going in gold and silver as long as you have strong demand. Now, asked, will it keep going up? As I get asked, I go, yes, because of demand. When the demand stops, the price might drop, but the demand is only just beginning, and it's going up and higher and higher and higher because the whole world's waking up to their dollar, and Germany and Euro and France and the British. of their dollar all being worthless. So they all have to get into gold. And that hasn't even started yet, maybe a little. So therefore, the price of gold and silver just keeps going to the moon. Why would I be in treasuries? I'd have to have my head examined. If I told you guys to go into treasuries, I'd be the stupidest guy in the world, because you'll never get your money back. It's not even real. Good luck trying to get paid back. And why would I want you in the dollar? I want you in gold and silver because it's limited. You can inflate it, and that's where it is. All right.
Furthermore, this fresh, real money ETF demand is coming off a zero allocation basis, with the move to diversify out of dollars, evidencing a growing number of investment banks moving into a 60-20-20, which is a 20% allocation to gold, which is weighing on treasuries, but also severely limiting the derivative-driven gold futures downside attempts. Geopolitical driver.
So again, now it's your portfolio is 60% stock, 20% treasury, 20% gold. Mine's 100% gold. Why would I have anything in stocks and bonds? They're all going to collapse. So I'm 100% gold and silver. They say 60-20-20. Again, that's more demand for people to get into their portfolio. It's got to be physical gold, not paper, not ETFs, not stocks. It's physical 20%. I'm physical 100%. And that's the problem. When you're, if it's, well, we'll get you in an ETF, you're still in stocks. So you don't want that. You want physical. I would sell all of my stocks and get into physical. You can't lose, because physical is just the demand's just going to keep going. The price will just keep running up. And you actually have value because it's real money, not bullshit paper.
Along with geological constraints to meet physical demand for immediate delivery, suggests gold is undervalued at $5,000. In fact, as we'd assessed last week, a growing number of bullion banks are now joining Goldman's plus or minus 5,000 target, with Hartnett last Friday assessing 6,000. Now, as evidence that the progressively higher Basel III T+1 AM and PM gold fixes, with or without the SGE Golden Week holiday ending last Thursday, it didn't matter whether the SGE was there or not. The FX markets were active, as we remember going through last time. It just doesn't, as I say, everyone was worried that would be an opportunity for the Western markets to gain the price lower.
I bought these pants for my dad as a surprise gift, and he couldn't believe how amazing they were. First thing he said,
Western markets to gain the price lower. It just didn't happen. So what is offsetting this? Because we had a dollar rally too. So obviously you then get an automated, the rising dollar is foreign exchange cross, therefore sell gold. There is that algo in place. But both are safe havens. So very strong central bank sovereign demand is now having to compete with freshly woken institutional real money ETF demand. So when you get a rising dollar price, you're seeing an opportunity to exchange that stronger dollar for a slightly weaker gold, and that is offsetting it. So you've really got both essentially rising together if you take away the short-term chart chatter. And then following Dalio affirming gold as, quote, a safer haven than the dollar. Now, people take him very seriously, suggesting gold is a diversification trade against the dollar. And he was supporting a very real money 15% allocation to gold. These fresh inflows of very, very sticky real money really just dived into buy at market. That was one of the last inflection points. Now, Delia's assessment mirrors a growing number of first-year investment banks adopting the outlined 60-20-20, which is 20% allocation to gold. And as is still unappreciated by top callers, wringing their hands over increasingly redundant far below moving average. And they're saying, oh, but it's the moving averages are so far below. It had a shake. That's history. That is when there was these moving averages are anchored in a period when there was literally a paper market driving the price. And they're sort of still referring to it. And they refer to those, they refer to, well, these are overbought derivative gold positions. But this very real money, very sticky ETF demand is only just beginning to pile into gold.
So what he's saying is, which is what I always say, the variables are changing. Right now, you got everybody going into ETS. People starting to realize gold's there, so it's not overbought. You just have more people buying it because the demand is higher for the gold. So again, the variables are changing. Tom Brady's not on New England; he's on Tampa. Changes the variable. People are getting more into gold because they realize the dollar's worthless, and so you can't look at the 50-day moving average and all this bullshit, because that's not good. That's why I don't like technical analysis unless you know all the variables are the same, and they're not. So if the variables are changing, then how the hell can you say these things? And that's why I laugh at Ray Dalio with his cycle crap. The cycles are not the same. They're all different, and you can't measure. You don't know a 100-year cycle. We've been 50 years in this cycle of 1971. We got off of gold. We're still it's 50 years. We should be gone. We should have been gone in 2008. How are we even there? We're still there, but with it's ridiculous. But this is the end, right? The dollar's collapsed. They just don't know it yet. We know it. Gold is the only out. We know it, not treasuries. So that's the thing. We get the new variables. The variable of going into gold is the key because you've ruined the dollar. You've inflated it to zero. Therefore, gold is the only thing to be in, and silver. And they're way, way undervalued because they've been pushed down by COMEX, JP Morgan, who's the biggest crook in the world. Anytime you hear JP Morgan, it's crooked.
But offers zero allocation base. The race to diversify out of dollars puts gold well in excess of $8,000 an ounce. This visual capitalist zero hedge piece captures the official data that foreign central banks now hold more gold than US treasuries. However, given this official data fails to include thousands of tons of unreported monetary gold, central bank buying, and with China alone securing a conservative 80,000 tons, and Russia, India, and Saudi and the BRICS another, between them 30,000 tons, the percentage is likely closer to plus or minus 60% and rising. This is mind-bending stuff. And in the meantime, Chinese and Indian gold and silver buying continues to compete with Western ETF demand. So you've got this concatenation of things going on. So when somebody is not invested, when a Western real money is looking for hedges, they're looking with fresh view, and they just, so what, 4,200? It doesn't matter. This is where I need to start getting exposure, which is why you've got Goldman, Hartnett, people talking about $5,000-6,000. Now, I know our liquidity providers are busy fulfilling very large spot gold and silver physical orders. We do track them. And they're capitalizing on swapping dollars for gold and silver into really current derivative discounts that we've been offered. The only question remaining is, are you using your dollar, using dollar strength?
So basically, people know they have to get off the Titanic. And so the price doesn't matter. So if it's 4,000 for an ounce of gold or 5,000 for an ounce of gold, you have to get off the Titanic before you sink. So as this dollar is becoming worthless, it doesn't matter what the price of gold is. you're going to get into it because you got to get off of the Titanic. And that 1,000, it's 6,000, it's 8,000, it's 10,000 for an ounce of gold. It doesn't matter. It's not, oh, I think it's overvalued like a stock. You can look at a financial statement of Tesla and see it's only worth $50, but yet the stock price is 200. You go, that's overvalued. It's only worth 50. Why would I spend 200 on it? But in gold, you don't know what it's worth because you have to have it. Therefore, you have to get out of the dollar. You have to have gold and silver because that's the only thing that will keep you alive. You'll be able to buy groceries and pay your bills with gold because people will take gold because it's real money. So therefore, silver hitting 53, it doesn't matter. People will buy silver. And as gold becomes 5,000 an ounce and 10,000 an ounce, everybody will flood into silver because they go, well, that's physical money. And therefore, I can afford that. So I can buy 20 ounces of silver at $100 an ounce versus even 2 ounces of gold at 5,000 an ounce. It's going to cost me 10 grand, but people will pay it because they have to get out of dollars. And you have a lot of rich people who are clueless, like Warren Buffett, who don't realize they're in treasuries. Yeah. Oh, good luck with that. You do know the U.S. is bankrupt and the treasury, you'll never get paid because there's, oh, by the way, there's 37 trillion in debt. However, in gold, there is no debt. Gold can't be printed. Therefore, there is no debt. You own the gold. Nobody can say, attack on Wall Street guy, oh, your $60,000 writ is worthless. Can never happen in physical gold. It can never be worthless. No matter what the U.S. tries, Russia, China, and BRICS will keep the price up because they have it all. As you said, they have 60% of the 200,000 tons of gold, and I believe it's higher. I believe Russia's got a good 20,000 tons between Putin and it's not all central banks. They're not stupid. What they have in the central banks are very small, but then they keep it in the military. They keep it in shadow banks and Putin's swimming pool. So they got, they probably got close to 160,000 of the 200,000 tons between BRICS countries, Russia, China, India, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Brazil, South Africa. They're not stupid, and they've been buying and buying and buying. So it's not a lot out there, which is going to push the price up. And they're not going to let the price go down because they have it. If you got 100 ounces of gold, you want the price to go higher, not lower. You're not going to let it go down. So that's where you're at. It doesn't matter what the price is. You're going to buy it because you have to. It's either that or you stay in your monopoly money. And that's even this is monopoly money, the euro. So if you're in Germany, France, Spain, you have to get out of this and go into gold, no matter what the gold price is. And that's, or silver. And that's the demand and the thing. So we don't really know what the real price of gold or silver. It's somewhere up here. And here's COMEX, 4,300 gold. But here's the real price, which is what, 20, 30,000? It doesn't matter. It's whatever it costs to get some, you get some. That's why I've been pushing you guys for 5 years. I'm buying it at 1,500, at 1,700, at 1,800. I'm buying silver at 20, 25, because I know where the end game is. The end game's up here somewhere. And I know we got to have it. And I know we have to get out of dollars. As soon as Biden did $5 trillion for the virus, COVID, I said, well, that ruins the money, because normally it would be a couple, maybe $1 billion, but he was 5 trillion. I said, well, that's the end of the dollar. So I already knew that. So it's, what do I go into? And there was no other paper currency to go into. It was gold and silver, not stocks, not the Swiss franc or the British pound. So it led me into gold and silver, and that's where we're headed for. You have to be in that. There's no other option. right? Gold and silver are your only lifeboat. They're your best friends. And it doesn't matter what the price is, you're going to buy it, because the alternative is to stay in monopoly money. And if you stay in this, you're dead, you're broke. So you have to get out of this. And if you can't afford gold, you buy silver. However, you can buy quarter ounce golds and tenth of an ounce golds. That's fine. Quarter ounce, let's just say it's 4,400 would be 1,100. Well, oh yeah, I can afford 1,100. I was buying quarter ounce at 300, 400, way back in the day. And now it's 1,200. And the thought of profit taking does not enter into it. You only sell an ounce if you need to pay a bill or something. Otherwise, you are not selling any of your gold and silver to get back into the monopoly money that is worthless. So you're not selling $100,000 of gold to get it back into this. That's worthless. So you hold on to your gold and silver. Like I said, you want to go on a trip, you got a medical bill to pay or something. Okay, you sell, maybe you don't sell an ounce, maybe you just sell a half an ounce. And that's it. And that's what you do. And you just be very careful. But most of your gold is not leaving your sight. It never leaves your hand. All right. And that's just going to, when it hits 20 grand, the more gold you have at 20 grand, the more you're worth. At 50 grand, you're going to be happy that you got 100 ounces and you didn't sell it and profit take. Because if you do, you get into this shit. Now what do I do with, oh yeah, I got 200,000 of this. It's not worth anything. This is worthless. So you have to understand that the more they print, the less it's worth. That's why you don't go into treasuries, and that's why you don't go into Bitcoin, and you don't go into this, what's the other one? Stable coin. Those are all Ponzi schemes. A fact here, at the end of Madoff, as he was about to go give himself up, a week before, he called JP Morgan, and he told JP Morgan he's about to go and give up, get your money out now. And JP Morgan sold their money in Madoff. True story, a week before. And then he went to the feds and said, hey, I'm doing a Ponzi scheme. I don't know why he just didn't end it. I mean, that's what he should have done, is just end the Ponzi scheme. Sorry, the Ponzi scheme's over. The fund's over because of this housing crisis, and nobody would have been the wiser. And people would have wanted their money, and sorry, I don't have it. And that's all. I don't know why he admitted that he was doing a Ponzi scheme, unless he just wanted to. But I thought that was stupid. But that's what he did. He told JP Morgan, take your money out now. And that's what they did. They knew what was going on. They had $2 billion in an account they're supposed to be tracking, and they don't know what Madoff's doing. Anyway, that's Mark McGuire Friday. Not bad. Here's a little, let's see. Here's a little bit of silver.
If no one ever taught you how to manage your money, or you're secretly ashamed of where you're at financially, this is for you.
I think it's partly they can see some of the dangers emerging from the political side. For example, the threat to the Fed's independence.
In another Kiko article, the headline read, Wall Street sees an unstoppable juggernaut. Central banks are not slowing down on buying gold. And as you can see from the falling gold to silver ratio, GSR, retail investors are in the early stages of beginning to wake up. Retail investors buy gold and silver. Silver is moving. Guess who is starting to buy? Alistair, your comments.
Yes, I think this is very early on in the whole situation. If you look at the level of outstanding ETFs, because that's the way in which investment managers buy gold, it's probably about 0.5% of all portfolios around the world, global portfolios. So we have a situation now where the banks, the big banks, are turning bullish on gold. I mean, if they'd listened to the three of us some time ago, they would have turned earlier. But no, they are now turning bullish. And I think it's partly they can see some of the dangers emerging from the political side. For example, the threat to the Fed's independence and so on and so forth. They're also beginning to realize that bond yields actually reflect risk, not economic prospects, which is a very, very important distinction. So if we get higher bond yields because of higher risk, and we can see this risk beginning to escalate, then this is going to undermine the entire credit system. It's going to pop the credit bubble. The implications of that are really quite interesting. Let's put it that way. Now, the banks, I think, partly for that reason, and also when they look at the charts, they can see, gold is rising, silver's rising. This is unstoppable. I mean, you don't need to be a brilliant technical analyst to arrive at that conclusion.
Which you wonder why COMEX is shorting it, knocking it down on Friday, when it's just the demand's huge. It's going to keep going because they have to cover. When you short on COMEX, China is buying and asking for delivery. So why are you shorting? Well, you think it's too high, it's overbought, it's all bullshit. It's not. What are you doing? Because then China's going to say, we want delivery, and you're going to have to come up with it, which you don't have. You don't have the gold and silver to deliver. Or if you do, it's at a higher price. What's going on here? John Helton. I recommend this to watch NFL HD. If you have few yearly, you can watch. What the fuck are you talking about, John? John, this isn't like put a commercial on my class. Okay, you talk about the class or you don't. So don't do that again, John, or you won't see your name on here anymore. This is not a commercial thing. This is not watch NFL HD. If you have few yearly, you can watch it on any device HD. Nobody gives a fuck. Keep that shit away from me. I see it again, your name will be gone. What did he admit, Titus? Obviously the demand. So I'm sure we're talking gold and silver, but anyway. So now that you've got me off track, John, thank you for that. The demand is huge, and so I don't understand the shorts. Why are you shorting it if you know it's going to be bought and you know you're going to have to pay for delivery, and you don't have the money and you don't have the gold to deliver it? So I don't know what's going on in COMEX, but you should see China buy the shit out of it today. I was wondering what John was talking about. I don't know. It's something about NFL HD. But John won't be saying anything more on here. I guarantee you that. So fuck off with commercials, John. That's not the forum here. This is to learn. This is a class. We learn football. We learn gold. We don't talk about your fucking advertisements. I'd ignore it, Titus. I have no idea what he's talking about.
I mean, it's an easy call for someone who, let us say, is the chief strategist at Goldman Sachs or Bank of America or Citicorp. But the problem is that, these guys are managing, or rather their investment management departments are managing over $1 trillion of portfolios each. And how much have they got? Zero.
You're right.
I mean, they're all in the wrong thing. Now, it's fine being in the wrong thing as long as the wrong thing continues to rise. You can say, well, I'm doing all right with my Nvidia and so on and so forth, or my Bitcoin maybe. But the moment that bubble pops, you're left exposed. And I think this is a danger, which increasingly investment managers are just beginning to wake up to. And that's going to create a real crisis, because where is the bullion? I mean, China's cornered the market, and where it hasn't actually cornered the market, the Russians have got quite a lot. On top of that, central banks in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and BRICS And the global south can see what China is doing, and that the world will move on to a yuan gold standard, yet to be defined. But you can see that the footsteps are there for this to be in place. So they're all buying bullion. Or put another way, they're dumping dollars.
Dollars, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And for in the investment management community to begin to wake up to these developments is too late. So this is buying that's yet to happen. And if this does occur, it will drive gold bullion prices, silver bullion prices considerably higher. Probably higher than really justified by the negative events impacting fiat currencies. So yeah, there is a bit of a bubble, I think, in the making here. I don't think we're in bubble territory by any means yet, but you can see how investment flows might create that situation for bullion.
It brings me back and reminds me of the situation that As Good as Gold were in 2020, 2021, when gold and silver from the Perth Mint, we were waiting 4 months. This is at the extreme of it all, but we were waiting 4 months after payment to get delivery. And the world market was in an okay situation scenario. This is not an okay situation. So, all I can say to people that follow us is that don't wait. Start a self-managed super fund here in Australia. Get your money out of the ANZs and whatever, the general stuff, general stocks and shares, and start buying some gold and silver, because you won't be able to buy it, mate. Probably not. Certainly not this price. Certainly.
Well, that's the thing. The price is just going to keep going up and up. But it doesn't matter. You have to get out of dollars. You need to Rumpelstiltskin trade your dollars for gold. And the quicker you do that, the better off you'll be, because you'll get a better price. The price isn't going down. It's not overbought with any thought of that. It is strictly, it's just simply get off the boat before it sinks, right? So we're on the Titanic, it's sinking. You go to the lifeboat, and it doesn't matter what it costs to get on the lifeboat. It's either that or you sink and you die. And that's how the dollar is. It's sinking. You either get off the dollar and into the lifeboat, gold and silver, or you drowned. It's as simple as that. And at that point, it doesn't matter how much it costs to get on the lifeboat. What matters is you're off the boat. You're off the Titanic. You're on the lifeboat. So it doesn't matter what the lifeboat cost you. To do that, or you drowned. And that's why I say, so you buy physical gold and silver. It doesn't matter if it's American Eagles, Buffaloes, Maple Leafs, Cougarans, or Philharmonics. China has a panda, but I'm leery to buy China stuff. They might yell at me and tell me I can't have it. There is some Russian gold that doesn't usually escape Russia. But usually you're good with the Eagle or the Maple Leaf for sure. I got some Cougarans and some Philharmonics. I just think it's cool to diversify. But the quicker you get out of your dollar, the dollar has no value. The quicker you realize that and get out of the dollar and buy your gold and silver, then you get to be on the elevator and watch the price go from 4,000 to 5,000 and say, hey, I'm glad I got in at 4,000. It is not too high. And at 5,000, it's going to go to, he gave a price of 8, but that's just bullshit. That's, as it's going up, they're saying 8, but it's going to 20. And then it's going to 50. And then it's going to be valued in gold and silver. It won't be valued in dollars. And that's where you got it. It won't be valued in dollars at all. It'll be valued in gold and silver. Will be the money. That's why you're not worried about if the dollar goes out, the gold and silver value goes out. No. The gold and silver will always have value because they're real money. And that's why I say to get the gold and silver ahead of a Rolex or a Mantle card. You certainly can get the Rolex and the Mantle card if you've got a lot of gold and silver and you want to get to a safe haven and you buy a Mantle card. You buy a Tom Brady. You buy a Jordan rookie. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Or you buy the Rolex or the Van Gogh over here, or the Picassos or something, but those are highly priced. So you want something that hasn't hit yet, which is gold and silver. It's perfect because it's still here and the real value is here. In a Rolex, it's pretty much up here, and a Picasso, they've already rose the price, so it's pretty much up here. But in gold and silver, it's pretty much here's the price and here's what you can get it at. So that's why gold and silver are the best plays right now. All right, let's check what the Rams are doing. And we'll see. It's 35-7, 42. We're under 51, so we could even give up another touchdown, and we're fine. It's Jaguars 3rd and 13 at the Ram 14. 2 minutes left, or did they just score? No. So even if they go 35-14, 49, we're still a winner. It's 52. And then the Rams will just kill the ball. So that's where we're at, if the Jags can even score. So the Rams, it was 21-0 going into the fourth. And then it was Stafford to Terrence Ferguson to the right for a 31-yard touchdown. Trevor Lawrence to Travis Hunter, who gives a shit. And Matthew Stafford to Devontae Adams. So this is my point with Tampa. Stafford to Terrence Ferguson. Who the fuck is that? He's a pro. And that's why Tampa will be fine with their receivers. And most of these teams will have these type of guys who are pros. So there you go, 35-7, 42. Should be a winner, the under 51. And we're off and running today. So again, it was, see, you don't know how to take the variables. The Rams are playing at 6:30 in the morning. After they played Baltimore, and let's say, I don't know if they stayed on the East Coast or went back to LA. I assume they stayed in Baltimore and then took a quicker flight to London. And I know they went on Friday. I saw that. And yet here they are, 35-7, killing Jacksonville. So that's what we got. Let's look for the lines. Again, Carolina 1-41 to the JETSs. Philly 2-44 to Mini. Kansas City's now 13. Probably get 12.5s, 44.5. It's probably more of a better game to go total wise than to go lay 7 with Kansas City. It's probably better to go maybe under with the game. New England 6.5, 41.5 to Tennessee. Cleveland 2.5, 34.5. Again, you got 40-mile-an-hour winds off the lake in Cleveland. You got Chicago 4.5, 44.5. You have a little bit of rain and wind in Chicago, but I think it's over by game time. You can see it's not really, it fell from 46 to 44.5. We got San Diego 2, 48.5 to Indy. We got Denver's up to 8 and 40.5 to the Giants. We got a Green Bay 7, 44.5 to Arizona. We got Dallas 1.5, 54.5 to Washington. Notice the total is not going down, even though the receivers are out. We've got the Niners 1.5, 47 to Atlanta. We got Detroit 6, 52.5 to Detroit. We got Seattle 3 and 41 to Planet Houston. So those are your updated lines. 4th and 13 for the Jacksonville at the Rams. So it's 4th and goal. And if they hold them now, I'm sure the Rams will put pressure on them. Then the game's over. They'll just take 3 knees and that's it. So that's where we're at. So Denver's up to 8. Maybe play a little more Denver. So again, your big teaser trends are Houston 21-3 in a teaser, 11-2 as a road dog. Tampa 22-2 in a teaser, 15-0 as a road dog. You've got Washington 23-3 in a teaser. You've got Denver 22-2 in a teaser. You've got Play against Tennessee 20-3 in a teaser. Philly off of 2 losses, and play against the Jets 21-2. In this game, LA was 21-4 in a teaser, now 22-4 in a teaser. So the teaser trends don't always win, but they probably win about 85% of the time. I mean, again, Houston's 21-3, so obviously 3 times they didn't, but you could probably figure out those games if they're playing Baltimore, which is probably where they lost in the playoffs. Baltimore killed them. So if it's not Baltimore, Seattle, you probably feel pretty good about it. So that's it. Good luck today. Again, buy your gold and silver. You're welcome, Titus. Buy your gold and silver. You can't lose. It's a lock. It can't go down because of demand. Anytime people want something, they will pay more for it. And in this case, you realize the dollar is worthless. Every dollar in the world is worthless. It's all not backed by gold and printed to death. And once you realize that, and you realize, well, what do? The only option is gold and silver, not treasuries. Warren Buffett needs his head examined to come up with that answer. And you want to respect Warren Buffett or Ray Dalio, buy 20% gold? These guys are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. And you fall for it. Oh, it's Ray Dalio. He's great. No, he sucks. He's an idiot. And I'm telling you to get 100% into gold and silver. Get out of stocks. Get out of bonds. Okay, you got a house. Okay, fine. Otherwise, it's all gold and silver. It can't lose. Look at it. It's been going 3,000, 4,000, 4,300. I'm sure this week it'll hit 4,500. It might have the day where it drops a little bit, and these idiots think, it's gone up so much that it's overbought, and I'm going to sell. No, these guys are idiots. They don't understand. It just keeps going up because you have no other option. You have to get out of the dollar, and you have to go, and gold and silver are your only thing, or a Mantle card or a Rolex. But most people are going to get into money, because even if I'm in a Mantle card, I still have to sell the Mantle card to get money. If I'm in gold and silver, I just go to the gold store and sell it for money or use it. Eventually, the grocery stores are going to take silver to buy food. I don't think they'll take gold because it's too expensive. I mean, what are you going to do? Buy a steak with a quarter ounce of gold that's worth $1,200? But the silver, even the silver is now 53. That's too much for an ounce of steak, right? Steak's $20 a pound. Well, the silver is worth 50. So that's where fractional silver will come in. And they'll have to readjust the prices. So your $500,000 house turns into maybe a $50,000 gold-back house, gold-back currency, which is worth a lot more than the paper. And that's what y'all have to understand. So I think that's it. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's look at the games. Free play. Washington, Dallas over. Dallas was explosive, and now they got CeeDee Lamb back. Washington should give up a lot of points. Let's do a score here. I didn't do my scores. I did pit Cincy 24-20. It was 33-31 Cincy, but I had the game over, which I won. So let's see. What should I call this game? Dallas 35, Washington 31. How about that for a score? Daniels will light them up. And as I just showed you with the Rams, it'll be guys you never heard of, but they get their opportunity and they'll be fine. They're professionals and they'll be fine. They'll score on Dallas's weak defense. And without Micah Parsons, they don't get a pass rush. And Daniels is fine. So, again, you don't see the total going down to 48 because Washington doesn't have their receivers. Again, look at Tampa. You don't have Evans and you don't have Godwin, and they're still putting up 40 points. They're using Mbika and other guys, and now you might have Mbakwa and Evans playing on Monday. I'm sure they will because it's the Lions. It's Monday night. They want to play. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Let's see. Do we got a final in this Ram game? Yes, we do. 35-7. The Rams win. We win under. It's a 42. The under was 45. I went under because it's 6:30 in the morning for the Rams, and I figure they'll be tired. And I bet if we start keeping an eye on these Thursday games, that most of them go under because the players are tired. And here's where we exposed Jacksonville. We didn't know how good they were. And now we see them against the Rams, and they get blown out. We saw them against, I think it was the 49ers or somebody else, and they got blown out there. So, again, they're beating up on Tennessee and maybe Houston or the Jets and teams like that. But now we see them against the Rams. Now this is a good look like. Anyway, so that's it. So first W of the game. That's 2 W's. I'm pretty hot. I had Pitt over, and now I got the Rams under. Free play Washington. We'll go from there. All right. Have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Questions or comments, you'll get my email there. You're welcome, Titus. Have a good day. You got to be careful, Titus, when we do these 10-team teasers. It's just there's always going to be one that we got to avoid. In this case, it was Washington, but we nailed everything else. But that's what happens. So that's why you kind of mix it up a little bit. All right. Well, have a good day, everybody. Good luck. www.teaserking.com.